Trey Lance is out of the walking boot. Theoretically, from what was reported in the Chronicle, this injury of his is a 10 to 12 week injury. He's 8 weeks out. So theoretically, I'm not saying he should start, but he could, I don't know, practice, do things on the field soon. What do you think? What are you expecting from him the next 12 months? Is he just going to slide back into the starter's role in the offseason no matter what and move on from there? Is he going to play like Justin Fields is playing right now? Is there going to be growing pains? Like, how does this transition work? Back to Trey Lance.
So I had Coach Desi on my YouTube channel yesterday, and she said his foot injury, there's two guys that she compared it to and said he's right there in the middle, right? So you have on the lower end Tua when he was playing at Alabama, and they did this surgery to kind of basically get him through the rest of that
tightrope.
The tightrope thing or whatever.
Yeah.
Right? So they did that to get him through the year where it's kind of a high ankle sprain, but he could play on it and whatnot. And then you have an extreme side of it with Dak Prescott, where snapped his ankle, broke through the skin. Like, bro, you are not playing this year, right? So that's more extreme. Well, Trey Lance isn't as, good as what Tua had, but then definitely not as bad as what Dak had. So I'd expect him to have a good recovery. You hope, knock on wood, good recovery. And if you start to hear reports of him throwing the ball come December, January, I think those things would come out. He's throwing the ball, he's moving around, he's doing some things, but I don't foresee a scenario where they're like, all right, yeah, he's throwing, but you know what? He's going to be active. We're going to open up this window for him to return off of IR. I think they're going to say, you know what? Heal up, don't rush it. But I fully expect them to be behind him he's the guy moving forward. Now, I would get a high price backup, whatever that looks like, maybe even Andy Dalton or something. I know we're probably tired of seeing Andy Dalton be a backup, but that type of backup behind him, not a Nate Sudfeld, not a Brock Purdy, right? Yeah. Unless you just really think Brock Purdy can do some things. But I would get one of those guys. But I would be shocked if they go into the season, and we brought up other quarterbacks, Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, all these guys. I'd be shocked if it's anybody other than Trey Lance. I would be completely shocked.
Yeah, I mean, we were just talking about how the Niners really can't afford a high-priced quarterback. Unless Tom Brady wants to come and play for like $8 million just for fun, then it seems like they're locked into Trey Lance. They committed a lot of draft capital to him, and they can't necessarily afford to get someone else. Like you said, if they keep Trey Lance and bring in Lamar Jackson, now you're spending like $60 million on your quarterback spot. I mean, how many players do you have to get rid of to make that work? It seems like this has got to be Trey. The only guy that they can really bring back to take the job from him is Jimmy.
Right.
I don't see that happening.
I don't. And Jimmy's playing well. Jimmy's playing well right now. I would say I remember a couple years ago when Trey Lance was drafted and Jet York came out and was like, oh, I could see a scenario where, Trey Lance sits 2 years. Well, now technically he has, and not in ideal situations. Over. But people are missing some of the context there, and he added if, Jimmy's playing at an MVP level and he's playing and you're winning the Super Bowl, right? And it looks like that. And it's like, I could see Trey Lance sitting behind that. And it's like, well, shit, I can too. But I don't think that's necessarily Jimmy. I think Jimmy is playing well. I think Jimmy, over the last few weeks, is playing some of his better football as far as like stringing games together, certain throws that he's attempting and some of the throws he's making. But is it enough to be like, hey, man, we gave up we used 3 first-round picks on a guy. And on top of that, we got to figure out, are we going to pick up his, 5th-year option? Like, that's good. That topic is going to come up after next season. So you got to play him. You can't not play him next year and then go into the offseason and like, well, are we going to pick up his 5th-year option? Because, well, we didn't play him because we wanted Tom Brady at 46 years old to come in and take us to a Super Bowl. Well, he didn't do it. And then now we are stuck trying to figure out what to do with Lance, as opposed to just being like, dude, do like any normal team. Yeah. Play your guy. Yeah. Let him develop like a normal team does. Yeah. Right? Build an offense around him. Do some stuff right around him. Right? Look at what they've done with Jalen Hurts. He was a guy I thought was a running back coming out of college, not even a quarterback. And you look at what he's doing. And the other guys, there's other guys that you just seen gradually get better at certain things to the point where, hey, like they are the guy. And you got to give Trey Lance the opportunity. But, man, everything's so rushed, man. It's so rushed right now.
Well, here's the complicating factor. So the Niners are in this Super Bowl window, and even if they don't win the Super Bowl this year, they'll still be expected to win it next year because they got all these players returning, high priced players, and Trey Lance is on start 5. And you go back and look at, so he's supposed to develop into Justin Fields, Jalen Hurts, Josh Allen. Maybe not Justin Fields, he's not there yet. But those Jalen Hurts and Josh Allen would be a great end result for Trey Lance. What were they on start 5 through 19? You know what I mean? And that's where he's going to be next year. So that's tough. I mean, are the Niners prepared to take a step back just so they can trust the process? They weren't this year. That's the problem with the whole Trey Lance thing is they don't seem to be willing to trust the process. Right. They're like, he's going to develop on the bench, and when he plays, he'll be great. Like, not necessarily. He might need to start 20 games the way Justin Fields has, and it's working for him. And for Zach Wilson.
Right. And they're figuring out, right? And he's going through coaching changes. Talking about Justin Fields. He's going through a coaching change. Lost some weapons. They're bringing them weapons. He's trying to figure it out. He's up and down. He's missing throws. Now they're like, man, just go make plays. All right, so now he's making plays with his legs. Everybody's like, oh, my gosh, he's so amazing, right? But it's all right, like, let me figure out how to get by right now. Let me get by doing those things, whether it's relying on some playmakers that Trey Lance will have, right? And if you have a season where you go 10-6, I know fans don't want to hear that, but again, you will be better for that in the long run. And I always thought that was what the play was going to be, but it has been more so, well, you got this Super Bowl window open, you got to win right now. And I think that's tough. And that would be tough on anybody, like, because you could say that even about Jimmy Garoppolo. Oh, you got to win right now. But if you don't win, then, all right, you didn't win.
Yeah. And here's the conundrum with Lance. Like, they want to develop him on the bench, or they want to say that they can develop him off the field. But and some quarterbacks that's worked with, like Steve Young or Aaron Rodgers or Patrick Mahomes, but these guys all played a lot in college. Like, Lance's thing is he doesn't have time on the field. He needs to learn, like, when to slide, like when, like, how, all the little things of playing a real football game.
The feel.
And he needs the feel. He lacks it.
So
and he can get it by playing. Right. Yeah.
I played cornerback for a lot of years. Right? And I had times where I was pretty good.
Damn right.
Over time, though, I developed this feel for the cornerback position. It wasn't something I had in high school, right? It was like I was just being an athlete. It wasn't even something I had in junior college or even at my university where I was starting to get it. But over time, you just get this feel for, like, these subtle movements of a receiver, and he's sending this route down. Or, oh, man, he's doing this. Now, the best of them can trick you, right? But for the most part, you just have this certain feel. Oh, I've seen this concept, and I understand, okay, how exactly I play. I'm going to show this because this is the picture they want to see. I'm going to go back. I'm going to rob this cell, right? So you start to have more of a feel. And Trey Lance hasn't played enough to get that feel. So right now, what we've seen from him is more so I am extremely talented, which he is. I am extremely smart, which he is. But without that feel, you're going to have a lot more inconsistencies. And it just takes playing in the actual game, seeing it at full speed to start to get that feel for it. And he hasn't had that opportunity. Now, again, if somebody wants to say, oh, he's not ready, I agree. I would say he's not ready to win you a championship. But how do you get to that point? And I think it's going to be figuring out how to get him that feel to where now he's more prepared for whatever he's seeing, the game slows down. And, again, your team with his skill set and the players you have will be better for that in the long run.
And you could compare it to playing cornerback or even you streaming. I mean, theoretically, it was a slam dunk that you were going to be good at streaming. You played in the league. You have an engaging personality. You're talkative and extroverted. Yeah, you're going to be great. You have the talent. But look at how much better you are now than you were a couple of years ago when you started because you have a feel for it. You do it every day. I mean, that's the kind of thing that experience matters. It fucking matters. And Trey Lance can't get it. It's not his fault. There was a pandemic, and then there was a Jimmy Garoppolo, and then there was a broken leg. It sucks. He's had really bad luck, but he can't get this experience. So I don't really know what to expect from him next year. You know, and if he has an 85 quarterback rating, are there going to be whispers in the locker room? You know, he's going to get booed at home game? It's not fair. You got to trust the process.
I want to bring one thing up, and let me pull these stats up real quick because some people are like, oh, well, it worked for this guy, you know, sitting for a bunch of years. All right, so 1 second. I'm bringing them up right now. And here we go. Boom. Wait. There we go. Career. So Aaron Rodgers. Everybody talks about how, man, he sat for 3 years. It worked for him. Ended up being really good, you know, and all that, right? Sat behind Brett Favre. It was great. It wasn't the worst thing in the world. Well, what a lot of people forget is in the Aaron Rodgers' first season, they went 6-10.
Yep.
Right. So he sat for 3 years.
Yep.
He sat for 3 years, and when
they were good the year before, right? They were good.
Right. They were good the year before.
Yeah.
And when he finally played, 2008, he started the full season. They went 6-10. All right. He threw.
This is a guy who played
13 picks.
He played 2 years at Cal. He played 2 years at JUCO. I mean, he was experienced. He had 3 years on the bench, and he still needed time to okay, this is what the NFL is like.
But
yeah,
the very next year, and if I'm not mistaken, that's 2009. I think they went 11-5, and did they win the Super Bowl that year?
No, I think they won Super Bowl 2010. I think they won in 2010. But anyway, he won in his third year as a starter. Yeah,
they were better for
just
him having to go through that 6-10 season. That a lot of people are like, I don't want to go through that. But the Packers had a great team, and I remember Brett Favre. There was some quote in the media where it was like, it was about time, right? Really, it took a couple years to win the Super Bowl, but he had to go through those downs, man. And it's frustrating as a fan. I'm a fan of 49ers as well, right? I think it can be frustrating, but man, you just gotta go through it. You gotta go through it, I think.
Right. And you got to chalk up like at least 1 year of him having, inconsistent play and growing pains. And it can't be year 4. It can't be year 4. You got to learn now whether this guy is worth another investment. Otherwise, you got to move on and get another quarterback. You got more first round picks in 24, 20. You could trade those 24, 25, and 26 for the next quarterback. You got to make that decision because I don't think you can go buy a quarterback. Doesn't seem like that's an option for this team. Unless they get real creative. Maybe they can. Elliot would know. Thank you for the $2.
And everybody loves Parag, so if anybody can get creative, it's him.
I hope the creativity isn't trading for Kirk Cousins. Can I just say that? Please, Kyle, don't.
I don't
Nothing
know.
against Kirk.
You see Kirk Cousins on the plane with the chains and all that, and he's...
Oh, he's cool now.
Yeah, so now he's cool. Kirk Cousins is cool.
Yeah.